Damage.
Interesting. Agreed.
Damage.
You're probably right.
Damage.
Thank you very much.
Do you know what, lad, there, right at the end, you're probably right.
Punches are born. That's my saying. I've said it for years. Punches are born. They are not made. Itauma is a puncher. He was born to be a puncher. So people will expect him to get the knockout, like Mike Tyson. Similar. They were looking at the similarities. Knockouts, young. Matter of fact, there was some talk that maybe he could break Tyson's record and win the heavyweight title as the youngest heavyweight. That's not going to happen. That date has passed. That ship has sailed. But that was something they would think about. I think Frank Warren, his promoter, did the right thing. Rather than rushing it, he gave him the fights he needed to get more seasoning, more maturity, more development. And this is part of that. This is part of that journey. This is part of that job. And that is the job in developing a fighter. And I like him a lot. He's talented. I like he's technically sound. He's got Ben Davidson doing a good job. He had people before that. They've done a good job. He's technically solid. He knows how to fight. He could get you out of there by going to you and by getting you to come to him and counterpunching. He's got good hand speed. As I said, he's fundamentally solid.
An opportunity to box one of the greatest ever. Some may say the best heavyweight ever when it's all said and done, potentially. You know, what better opportunity to test your skills than against somebody like that? That's what you're in the game for, so.
I think that Jermaine Franklin versus Moses Itauma is a really, really good fight for Itauma's progression. I think he's a solid opponent. I've got no issues whatsoever. It's on a very, very good card. No mention of pay-per-view as well, which is even better. But it's a solid opponent. Jermaine Franklin, when he fought Dillian Whyte, going into that fight, I kind of looked at him and thought, he looked awkward, but nothing special. He gave a good account of himself against Dillian Whyte. Some people actually felt that he did enough to win the fight. I wasn't one of them. I thought Dillian Whyte won the fight.
In my opinion, Jim, yeah, it is. I think that, you know, you've got to look at the styles. Moses Itauma, we saw what he done to Dillian Whyte last time. You know, we expected Dillian Whyte to give him rounds out in Saudi Arabia, and he didn't. He went out there and he absolutely obliterated Dillian in one round, took him apart. Southpaw style, very spiteful and very aggressive. Now, we know Jermaine Franklin, who's only lost to Anthony Joshua on points and Dillian Whyte on points, and a lot of people felt he actually won that fight against Dillian Whyte. He's tricky, he knows how to hustle his way round. I've seen him in the gym, actually. I've been up close and personal with him, you know, through this training camp, and you look at it and you just look at the styles and you go, I think he's in trouble here against a young, fresh Moses who's very spiteful and starts very fast. It could be an early night for Moses Itauma if he gets it tacked.
All stuff I could capitalize off of. I have the ring experience to be able to show different looks and give different looks, so he hasn't really been tested as far as someone seasoned that can just give him different styles, change the looks up, not someone that's just going to sit there and be a punching bag. So,
do you think, I mean, he's never gone past 2 rounds so far, Jermaine. Do you think you could be the first to take him into what would be uncharted territory for Moses?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to be the first to beat him. Forget uncharted territories. I'm trying to be the first to give him to take away his O on his record. So, you know, I guess people think like when you got a young superstar that everybody else is just a walkover or a standing stone. But, you know, I come to fight. I really come to give it my all and to shock.
He's been going through opponents like Bonnie Blue, goes through Nickers. Okay, I've come in hot. Okay, let's calm it down. But like a heavyweight should, he brings the excitement, the speed and agility for such a big guy, the power, and he's a southpaw to top it off.
The block, Moses Itauma, who looks absolutely extraordinary, and for me, he ticks all the boxes. I like his attitude, I like his style, southpaw, hard-hitting, moves so well. He's going to be very, very difficult to sort of deter. So it's an interesting one because, yeah, is this too soon for Moses, or is this just the right fight at the right time?
No, he might be one of the fastest guys, but I spar a lot of fast guys. You know, I think I'm ready for the hand speed.
I get shit all the time on the internet, but what am I going to do about it? What can I do about it? I'll get fucking 5 years if I hit someone.
So why would you care with the position you're in?
It's not that you don't care, because you can care sometimes. Sometimes you'll see comments and you'll think, you cheeky bastard. You think, if I ever got fucking hold of you and I could get away with it, I'd fucking rip you fucking head.
I'm 50-50. personally, it depends on what style he brings. So it's like, I think if he's like measured, then yes. But if he does what I think he might try and do, which is I'm gonna show this guy get inside and work like clever shots, I don't think so. I think with someone like Moses, who is naturally so explosive and so quick and technical, he's got so many good attributes. But as we've seen with in any sport across any profession, that explosiveness, in my opinion, cannot happen for 12 rounds. It never happens.
The hype train is about to derail. Moses Itauma, the 19-year-old heavyweight knockout artist who's been compared to prime Mike Tyson, is stepping into the ring with Jermaine Franklin. And here's the thing nobody's talking about. This isn't just another showcase fight for the young British bomber. This is a calculated test that could expose everything. Franklin isn't some tomato brought in to pad the record. This is a seasoned American veteran who went the distance with Anthony Joshua and arguably beat Dillian White on the scorecards. While everyone's been mesmerized by Itauma's highlight reel knockouts, Franklin has been quietly building a resume as the heavyweight division's most dangerous gatekeeper.
Going through the motion, he's serious about it, you know, so I liked it.
Yeah, like his energy was like very calming throughout the week.
Yes, it was.
Moses here. This is going to be a case of, let's see, 1, if we can get rounds. 2, can he do a better job than Anthony Joshua and Dillian White did? Can he get rounds but also get him out of there? I guess that's kind of the question for Moses. But for me, this is the perfect bit of matchmaking. This is everything that fight fans have wanted. They want to see what happens when Moses Itauma goes a few rounds, has someone who's...
You know, look, it's a good fight to make. Dillian White's got the experience. He's also... he can punch, he's strong, he's a big unit, but can he negate the speed, the power and the ferocity of this young heavyweight coming? And he gives angles, he's a good boxer as well. So that's the thing. You've got experience against somebody who's up and coming that hasn't been tested yet because he's so sharp, so deadly.
In the meantime, I think we put together a brilliant fight with Jermaine Franklin, the American. It's going to be a good fight. I think, you know, with Moses and him, I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think it's a good test for Moses.
Moses brings his own problems to Jermaine, but they're probably around the same height, maybe Moses a couple of inches taller. I like this matchup. Stylistically, I like this matchup as well. Like, Jermaine comes to fight, and that could sort of fall into Moses' hands. And I honestly feel this is the perfect opponent for Moses' development. You can't rush Moses. I know everyone wants to see him in there with killers. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I think he's ready. But the fact is, you do have to take your time with Moses. And I think someone like a Jermaine Franklin, who is a top 30 guy, top 30 guy, who again, we've seen him with AJ and Dillian White, so we can compare Moses' performance against him and compare.
Here's where it gets absolutely wild. Itauma has never been past the second round in his professional career. Not once. Every opponent has been sleeping on the canvas before the third bell, and now he's facing a guy who specializes in making fights ugly, dragging heavyweights into deep waters where technique matters more than power. Franklin's entire game plan is built around surviving early storms and capitalizing when explosive fighters start to fade. When he fought Joshua, everyone expected AJ to blast through him like he was nothing. Instead, Franklin made it competitive for 12 full rounds. Against Dillian White, he was even more impressive, using awkward angles and constant pressure to neutralize White's size advantage. Some ringside observers actually scored that fight for the American. But here's the kicker. Frank Warren and the promotional team know exactly what they're doing. This isn't about giving Itauma an easy night. This is about answering the biggest question mark hanging over boxing's most explosive prospect. Can he fight when the knockout doesn't come? Can he dig deep when someone actually survives his early assault? Because right now, everything about Itauma's reputation is built on those devastating first-round finishes. The comparisons to young Tyson aren't just about power. They're about that aura of invincibility that comes from watching opponents crumble before they can even get started. But what happens when that doesn't work? Now listen to this part carefully. Itauma's team has been protecting him perfectly up to this point. They've given him the right opponents at the right time, building his confidence and letting his natural talent develop without throwing him to the wolves too early. That's smart matchmaking. But Franklin represents something different entirely. This is a guy who's made a career out of being the wrong stylistic matchup for young, explosive heavyweights. He's awkward, he's experienced, and most importantly, he's not going to be intimidated by the hype or the power. Franklin has shared the ring with the division's elite and held his own every single time. Here's what makes this fight absolutely fascinating from a technical standpoint. Itauma is a natural southpaw with devastating counterpunching ability and the kind of one-shot power that ends fights instantly. His hand speed is ridiculous for a heavyweight, and his timing is already elite level despite his age. But Franklin brings something Itauma hasn't seen yet: genuine heavyweight level experience, and the kind of ring IQ that only comes from years of fighting top-level opposition. Franklin knows how to make fights messy, how to tie up explosive punchers, and how to turn boxing matches into grinding wars of attrition. He's going to try to drag Itauma into uncharted territory and see what happens when the young lion has to dig deep. And get this, the stakes couldn't be higher for both fighters. For Itauma, this is about proving he's more than just a highlight reel. A dominant performance against Franklin doesn't just maintain his momentum, it catapults him into immediate title contention. We're talking about potential fights with Fury, Itauma, or whoever emerges from the heavyweight championship picture. But if Franklin exposes weaknesses, if he manages to drag this fight into the later rounds and make it competitive, suddenly all those Tyson comparisons start looking premature. The entire trajectory of Itauma's career could shift based on how he handles adversity for the first time. Hold up, because there's another layer to this whole situation that most people are missing. The heavyweight division is in complete chaos right now. Fury and Usyk are tied up in their undisputed championship saga. Joshua is trying to rebuild after consecutive losses, and Wilder is still lurking as a dangerous wildcard. That creates a massive opportunity for someone like Itauma to establish himself as the next big thing, but only if he can prove he belongs at the elite level. Franklin isn't just an opponent, he's a measuring stick. Beat him convincingly, and suddenly Itauma becomes the most talked-about heavyweight prospect in the world. Struggle against him, and those title shot conversations get pushed back years. But wait, it gets even more interesting when you look at the psychological warfare already happening. Franklin has been incredibly confident in interviews, talking about how he sparred with plenty of fast, powerful guys, and isn't intimidated by Itauma's knockout record. That's exactly the kind of mental approach that can neutralize a young fighter's advantages. Meanwhile, Itauma has been staying calm and focused, but you have to wonder if there's any pressure building. Everyone expects him to demolish Franklin the same way he's demolished everyone else. What happens if Franklin survives the first round? The second? Suddenly Itauma is in completely uncharted territory, dealing with fatigue and adversity he's never experienced as a professional. So here's my take on how this plays out. Itauma comes out fast and aggressive, looking for the early knockout that's become his signature. Franklin weathers the storm, uses his experience to tie up and clinch, and tries to drag the fight into the middle rounds where his conditioning and ring IQ become factors. The question is whether Itauma has developed the boxing skills and mental toughness to win rounds when the knockout isn't available. Can he box behind his jab? Can he work the body? Can he stay composed when his usual game plan isn't working? These are the questions that separate genuine championship contenders from athletic freaks who flame out when they face real opposition. There you have it. This isn't just another step-up fight for a young heavyweight prospect. This is a defining moment that could reshape the entire division's future. Itauma has all the physical tools to become the next heavyweight superstar, but Franklin represents the kind of test that reveals what fighters are really made of. We're about to find out if the hype is real or if we've been watching fool's gold this whole time. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Do you think Itauma gets the early knockout he's hunting for, or does Franklin drag him into deep waters and expose the holes in his game? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really at stake, smash that like button, subscribe for more heavyweight analysis, and hit that notification bell because this division is about to get turned upside down. I'll see you in the next one.